listening to Free Talk with MrB.
Hello and welcome. This is MrB on Free Talk with MrB. Our guest today almost made me cry, and they might make you cry. We're not sure why she didn't die. Let's listen to her story, and please, don't cry. This is Free Talk with MrB.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Free Talk with
morning,
Mr. I'm fine. Welcome to Free Talk with MrB. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
All things considered, right?
Yes.
You know, it's tough sometimes. I think I spoke to you earlier and you weren't feeling so well, so we're so glad you're still able to come on.
Yes, I do apologize. I got the flu shot and my shingles vaccine yesterday and woke up with a fever.
Wow. And when we talk about Free Talk with MrB, we talked about experiences, and I do not have that experience at all because I've never taken a flu shot or anything.
Oh, yeah, I take it every year because of the field I work in.
Okay. So tell us, maybe if it's possible, you can tell our listeners a little bit about you. And I'm very curious about what's shingles, because I heard it before, but I really don't know what it is. But a little bit about you that you're willing to give up.
Okay, so about me, I am from North Carolina. I'm 50 years old. I had 2 children, a boy and a girl. Have 7 grandchildren. I am a office manager at a dental practice here in North Carolina. I love to share my story with people because I think that everything I go through in life, I go through that I may be able to turn around and share and help someone else.
Oh, wonderful.
So
it's so interesting.
I'm single.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Because I know I just recently started this show with the whole idea of giving back. I didn't know exactly as I grow older how I wanted to share, as I felt I was successful enough through my aspect of life. And so you're accustomed to this. Help me out. How do we share?
Well, it depends on what your life experiences are. I can connect with a lot of women on issues of breast cancer, heart failure, going through a divorce, losing a child. I lost my son in 2017.
Wow.
So a lot of people come and ask me to speak at different engagements, and I went through a lot within the last 7 years. So it's like everything was happening back to back to back.
Wow.
I can also speak on the issue of depression because I did fall into depression at one point in my life.
Wow. That's like a lot of wows.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I mean, when I connect with someone, I'm not sure what has happened. I am not sure what has happened in their life. And I kind of freelance it because I wanted people to be free on Free Talk. And so you're free to capture any of these subjects. But before you proceed, what is shingles exactly? I mean, how would any of us know what it is?
Okay, so they say that if you had chicken pox when you were younger, that when you get older in life, that you can catch something called shingles. And I know a lot of people catch it. I pray to God I don't. But it's where you break out in a bunch of sores, and they said it hurt really bad. So once I turned 50, Dad came out with a vaccine. So my doctor, because I have heart failure, my doctor encouraged me to get the shingle shot because I definitely don't want to add another sickness to my list.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can't remember. I think I got chicken pox when I was much older. Does it matter what like age group you had chicken pox compared to what you're gonna get in the future? Or
I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. They just, my doctor just told me a little bit about it because I was like, what is shingles? Like, I don't want to, it just sounded bad. I didn't
yeah,
want it,
I
you
mean,
know?
I think I think I looked it up once, but it just didn't click. I mean, we all had chicken pox when we were younger, and we thought we got over it. We had the shots back in those days, and
Right.
over now they say there's something scary lurking in the background that's going to come after us as we get older.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm in my late 50s, and I'm not looking forward to anything either.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Right.
That was my question. Like, why do we get all these vaccines back in the day?
Right.
Only to say, oh, you might get this later on in life. But, there's always,
Yeah.
if it ain't one thing, it's another.
Right, right, right. I remember that song. And we had the scars on our arms to prove it. And so we thought, oh, yeah, that took care of everything. Certain generations
Yeah.
had a scar in their feet, but we all have scars in our arm from some shots we got that was supposed to take care of things.
Right.
And nowadays we watch ourselves against so many things. Now you took the flu shot, you said, and I've never done one of those either. I'm not against, I'm just skeptical because I caught so
Yeah.
much flus when I was a kid in the Caribbean.
Yeah. I normally take the flu shot every year and it never affects me.
Mm,
But I think because yesterday I took the flu shot and the shingle shot at the same time,
okay.
I woke up. They told me I could probably have fever, soreness. Once I took the Tylenols this morning, I just needed a minute to let
Right.
that get in my system and get the fever down. But I work in the healthcare field, so there's people always in and out, in and out, in and out. And the last time I caught the flu was 2018. I had not took the shot yet, and I ended up in the hospital for a week.
Oh, wow.
So I definitely don't want that to happen again. So
Yeah.
um, I try to stay on top of it.
And when COVID-19 came up, they were kind of exposing the number, I mean, for the wrong reasons, but they were exposing the number of deaths off of the flu, and it was upward
Right.
in the US of like 60,000. And I'm like, what? And I used to get such a bad flu every year.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about this COVID-19. I just try my best to stay my 6 feet away from people, and I try to wear my mask um, when I can. I really don't know.
Well, I mean, you're in the medical industry, and it's one of those things you have to safeguard yourself regardless.
Right, right.
Yeah, because I think back in the 90s, in your profession, the safeguard was wearing gloves to make sure that you didn't get pricked with a needle from someone else. And here now, you just have to make sure they don't breathe on you.
Right.
So it's now you have the dangerous, safety sensitive job. I thought I was in a safety sensitive, dangerous environment in my job.
You're right. And we never, when COVID-19 hit here, our office didn't shut down. We had to furlough few people, but of course I'm the manager, so I still had to work. But PPE is very important. You make
Right.
sure you have on your mask, your shield, your gloves, your gown. I mean, you have it all on.
Yeah, and then someone asked me what does PPE mean back in those days? Oh, back in those days is like a few months ago. It seems like forever with this COVID-19 and the changes we're going through. But we always in my industry are hard hat, gloves, steel toe boots, earplugs, glasses, and sometimes a mask because of dust mask or other types of fresh air masks for the environment we're going in, like if it was a poisonous gas environment or something like that. And we will always PPE, PPE. That's what we did all the time. Then this came up, and everyone was definitely into PPE. Did you have a hard time getting a supply for real, or it just was
Yes.
not? You're saying yes, yes.
Yes, we had a hard time getting supplies. We just had to get whatever they could send to us. We used in our office the the wipes, like Lysol wipes and
Hmm.
stuff like that. We couldn't get that. We couldn't get Lysol. We couldn't get anything. We still can't get Lysol.
Oh, yeah. I was talking to a lady in Kenya in one of my interviews, on one of the episodes earlier, and it was just really something because, again, the scare factor over there, the positions people take, and the doubt, they were just not sure because of whatever they're hearing online or in the news. And like yourself, you're a living testament to what exactly you're experiencing as a healthcare worker.
Yes. We're getting
Incredible.
ready to travel next month, so um, I'm gonna see how that go. I'm gonna travel to Texas to see my brother.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm in Dubai at the moment. And when you said that, I was like, what plane is she getting on? Exactly. And I think about travel way more international. But Texas, from where you are, that's what, 2 days drive?
It's a 2 days drive, but we're gonna fly.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did some domestic from when I came back over here about a little over a month ago in the Middle East. I took the flight from Houston to New York. And everything in the airport in New York was closed. What are you expecting?
Same thing. My brother just came here.
Uh-huh.
He just left last Saturday, and he said that best thing if you want to eat, just pack you something to take because everything is closed. But he said everything was really clean.
Okay, that's the good part. And of
Hmm.
course, my flight was, I think it's 14-hour or different hours, and I kept a mask on the whole time, so we were required to do so except when eating something.
Yes.
I think, what is it? It's a 3-hour flight to Houston?
Yes. So we're gonna fly from Charlotte to Houston, from Houston to Killeen.
Okay, I see. Now, you said many ask you to come on as a speaker. What has been your popular, or most popular or favorite speaking engagement on subjects?
Well, of course, October is really busy for me because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I have battled breast cancer twice. The first time I had breast cancer was when I was 24 years old.
Wow.
And, back in my day when I had um, the cancer, it just wasn't heard of for a young person like me
Right.
to have cancer.
Yeah, that's quite young.
So, yeah, and no one in my family has ever had cancer. So, to try to figure out why, where, it was just a lot. But I ended up having to have a left mastectomy. That's where they removed the breasts.
Right.
And at the time, I didn't have to take chemotherapy or radiation or anything like that. Once they removed the breast and they removed 13 lymph nodes from my arm, they were pretty sure that they had gotten it all. So I lived for 19 years breast cancer free. And in 2013, I got married. I think, are you St. Louis's brother?
Yes, you absolutely
Yeah.
were my sister-in-law, I must say.
Yes.
And
So
I followed your you all the time that I knew that. So
oh
this is
yeah.
weird, but I like weird. It's okay. This is free talk.
I hope you don't get mad.
No, no, no,
But
not at all.
yes.
I'm thinking if you will explore that if you have a minute.
Yeah, so we got married in 2013. Um, Having a great time, living a great life. And then in 2014, I found a lump. Both times I found my own lump. Um, I'm always checking myself.
Yeah, and that's an
When
important
I,
note.
yes, I'm always checking myself, and I encourage women to do it all the time because it can make the difference in you having stage 1 breast cancer or stage 4 breast cancer. So when I found the lump, I noticed it was hard, and I just kind of watched it for a few weeks. wasn't going away. Went to the doctor. Um, they did a biopsy, came back, told me that it was cancer and that it was very aggressive. It was an aggressive cancer. So I had to take chemotherapy. Um, Taking chemotherapy was very hard at times. When I had my surgery in October of 2014, I just had a lumpectomy where they went in and they took took tissues from around the surface where the lump was, and they took the lump out. So I had started chemotherapy, and I had to have 4 sessions of something called a red devil. That had to be spread it out within 3 weeks' time. So every 3 weeks I was going to get this chemo. When I first started it, I would really be sick up until the time to go and get it again. But after 4 sessions of that, then I had to start having chemotherapy every week. It was a lesser dose. But I started having some issues, and I kept telling the doctor that I was having some issues. Like when I would go into chemo, my heart rate would be up. I would be sick a lot. And she was telling me that it was just the chemo, it was just the steroids that I was on. Well, I had went back to work. I had started back working. I'm always trying to stay busy. So I was on my way to work one day, and from where we lived to my job was an hour drive. And I was on my way to work one day and thought that I was having a heart attack. So I went to the hospital and found out that my heart was only functioning at 9%. The chemo had damaged my heart.
Oh my Lord, 9%?
9%. So the doctor, he was like, I'm glad you got here when you did, because I don't know if you'd have made it.
Right.
I went to the doctor in the town that I that I worked in, not that I lived in. I ended up being in the hospital for like 10 days there. They sent me home. I still wasn't feeling well. They sent me home on a Wednesday. On that Friday, I thought I was dying. I couldn't breathe. I called my husband at the time. He came home and took me to the hospital in the town that we lived in.
Right.
And by him taking me to that hospital, it really saved my life. Because they were able to get me with the proper doctors needed. They were able to find something that was going to try and benefit me living. At first, they was like, they didn't know, because my heart wasn't functioning well at all. They didn't know if they could try to save me a lot. They were talking about putting me in hospice and everything. So, we were like, no, hospice is not an option for us. I'm not doing that. You're going to have to find something else. Uh-huh. So I have what's called an LVAD. It's where there's a pump in the left side of my heart. And I wear a bag around my shoulder. If you've seen my pictures on Facebook, you see this bag around my shoulders. It's a battery pack that actually pumps the blood through my heart. The deal was that I had to have that for at least 5 years, because you got to be 5 years cancer-free before you can qualify for a heart transplant. Ooh. Well, the first time I went in the hospital to actually get the bag done, the first heart surgery I had was in May of 2015. I was in the hospital for about 3 months. I lost the ability to walk, talk, use my limbs, everything. But when I came home from the hospital, I was doing pretty good, but I have to change bandages on my stomach. and I had caught an infection in the area of the where the seal is.
Right.
Ended back up in the hospital in December. Me and my husband at the time had a trip planned to go to Texas. That was going to be my first time going to see my brother. So I'm in there and I'm telling the doctors, look, I got to get out of here. Y'all going to have to find a way to treat this because I have to go. Like, I'm going to Texas.
No matter what.
I'm paying my money. I'm going. Like, this is my first trip. I got to go. And they looking at me like, yeah, right. Like, this infection is bad. So I had to end up having a second heart surgery where they had to take the pump out of that side and move it to the opposite side. They took it out of the right side and moved it to the opposite side of my stomach.
Okay. That's compared to the same ventricle on the heart, though.
Right.
Right.
So, what it was the opening of where the incision was on my stomach. It had got infected there, but it was traveling up through the pump. If they did not do that surgery, I was not going to make it.
And for most part, the wires that led to the battery pack that was protruding out of the stomach for the battery pack of the pump, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to visualize.
Right. Yeah. So my family and my husband at the time, right after my surgery, I told him to go ahead and go to Texas. We had talked about it several times. I told him, go ahead and go. I was going to be in the hospital for a while anyway. That would be fine. I ended up on life support. They called my husband and told him that they had lost me on the table, but they were able to bring me back. But something happened where everything in my body shut down. My kidneys went bad. I had to have a trait put in my throat. I couldn't breathe. I went through so much that I don't even believe it sometimes.
To say the least.
Like, yeah, when they tell me all that I went through, I'd be like, what? Like, really? Like, I was on dialysis. When I woke up from being on the life support, I was on there for 40 days.
40 days? Did they say how long they lost you for on the table?
They lost me 3 times on the table.
That's when your machines were flatlining and they had to resuscitate.
Yeah. 3 times. So, they also, when they did the trait, when they put the trait in, my heart stopped, so they had to resuscitate again.
And the trait, is there a tube going down the throat like people do? They always illustrate during COVID-19 that they have to put a tube down your throat to help you breathe.
Yes, but the trait, if you see the people that's having the commercials where they have smoked and their lungs went bad and they have a thing sticking out of their throat so they could talk.
Right.
A microphone like out of their throat so they could talk.
Right.
I had that.
Okay.
Yeah, I had that. I just don't. So when I came off the life support, I had to get the trait. Again, I had lost all ability to walk, talk, move, everything. I couldn't do anything. So this happened twice in 1 year for me. When I finally started coming around, was able to move to a regular room, I was still taking dialysis. They wasn't sure if I was going to be able to come off of dialysis. But I just kept praying. And I eventually was able to come off of dialysis.
Mm-hmm.
When I first got the microphone on my throat, that was the first time I had heard my own voice in months.
Wow.
And I they said I talked all day through that microphone. But I had that in for about a month. And then they wanted to remove it to see if I would be able to talk on my own. Um, Needless to say, I'm talking on my own. Uh, I'm walking on my own.
Yeah.
Using my limbs on my own. I drive. I do everything on my own.
What a blessing. You're stubborn, and that's a good kind of stubborn. You're like, oh no, it's not my time yet, and I'm not going anywhere. You can dialysis all you want, but I'm going to take care of me.
Right.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. So in the midst of coming out of the hospital, I was in the hospital for like 3.5 months. So 2016 was kind of a settled year for me. It was kind of like I was just learning life all over again, learning how to maneuver, learning how to do things on my own. We had went to the Virgin Islands for my husband's birthday and for his mom's birthday. This was in March of 2017. While I was in the islands, we were supposed to be there 2 weeks. The day before my husband's birthday, I got a call that my son had committed murder-suicide. So
in 2016.
2017.
2017. Oh gosh.
Yeah. So I went through. So it's from 2014. I went through breast cancer surgery. 2015, I went through 2 major heart surgeries. 2016 was kind of just a learning year for me. 2017, my son commits murder-suicide. He kills his girlfriend and kills himself.
Whoa. And you got this news in Tide Village.
Yes, in Tide Village. Yes.
It's amazing how names come back.
Yes.
Why did I know Tide Village?
95 Tide Village. That's where I got the news.
I'm feeling it in my chest because that's a sensitive address for me too. And you would get that kind of news there in 2016. And that address impacts my soul in 1974. So what a big stretch of time, how things come into a circle. And oh my gosh, I'm glad you're talking to me. Because I say I like things on Facebook, and I would have never known all of these things without you free talking here. Because we don't know what people are going through and we see them online. I just know you're related to me somehow through my brother, my half-brother. And when you love one, you love all, right?
Right.
And so I build this online relationship. Hey, hi, I like, love, share, and yet we don't know. It's such a terrible society we live in where we really don't know what's really going on.
Right.
And I can hear the emotions in your voice as you speak and as you free talk. But that 2017 phone call to Tide Village is like earth-shattering. Even all these things happen to you. That's one that was going to kick your butt.
Yeah.
It's not something you want on vacation or at all in life. Gosh.
Right.
Okay.
So I get this phone call. Of course, it's on a early Sunday morning, about 1 o'clock in the morning. They planning this big party for my husband that Sunday. I can't get off the island that day because no flights are going out that day. So I have to wait until Monday, which was his birthday. And it was hard because I know he wanted to stay there and spend time with his mom, but and I told him he could stay. Like, I just lost my child. I have to go.
Oh gosh, yes.
Like, there's no, there's no, it's not a question when it comes to me. I have to go. If it was your child, I would still have to go,
Oh, absolutely. This is no
And
question.
yeah, so um, getting back, having to bury my son, and him leaving behind 4 children, um, it was hard. And I think that I had everything I had went through up until that point. I think I had just went through with grace. I didn't let it get to me. I didn't let it get me down. I didn't let it bother me. I just knew I had to get through it. But this was something that I could not just get through. You know, you can't just get through losing your child.
Mm.
And I think they have different, I think the cultures are so different. Maybe that's what they do, but I couldn't do it. So I went into depression. I wasn't working at the time. I was always at home alone because he was working all the time. And I was just sitting at home, always trying to figure out why, what happened, what did I do something wrong? Did I not raise him right? It was so many questions as to why he would do something like this.
And your maternal instincts was kicking in, even blaming yourself, wondering, wasn't it?
And I think it was something that my husband thought that it would take a few weeks and I would just be over it. It just don't happen like that. Not in my world.
Not in anybody's world.
And so we started having some real issues. And so in May, I had to go back to work. I went back to work. And I started working. And
as of which year is that? This year? Or?
2017, I went back to work.
2017.
May of 2. He died in March. I went back to work in May. I had to get out of the house. I had to find something.
Yeah, you have to normalize your life, right?
Yeah, I had to find something to do to keep me alive at this point, because I felt like I was losing it. And I just think that me and my ex, we just had different ways of thinking at the time. And in 2000, and so we go, I'm working, we just going along to get along at this point. And 2019, I found out that they were not going to give me a heart transplant. Because of everything that I had went through the last time I was in the hospital. They felt that if they gave me a heart transplant, that I was not going to make it off the table. So the best thing for me to do was to keep trying to live with this bag that I have. Of course, I was devastated because this was my 5-year plan. Like, I'm going to be on this bag for 5 years, then I'm going to get a new heart, and then I'm going to feel back to some kind of normalcy in my life. And it didn't work like that.
By this time, did they do a mastectomy in the second breast?
No, okay. I never did a mastectomy. I just did a lumpectomy.
Okay, I see, okay.
Yeah. So, needless to say, when I felt like there were some times that I really needed my husband, that he wasn't really there for me. And I'm pretty sure he felt like there were some times he needed me that I wasn't really there for him. I don't sit up and I don't play the blame game. You did this, you did that. I don't have time for that. I am a grown woman. I have real issues that I have been through in my life. So to sit and try to blame someone for my downfalls is beyond me. I don't do it.
Okay, so to be fair, those are devastating issues you've been through in your life, not just any everyday issues. So,
right. And even though I just don't think he understood the depression that came with losing my child.
Yeah.
So we ended up separating and eventually ended up getting a divorce.
Right, because no parent wants to outlive their children. Just not natural. And the circumstances around it made it more unnatural, because you feel like you're living with, and I'm not saying I experienced it, but that's what it's portrayed. It feels like you're living with some burden that you yourself didn't place on yourself.
Right.
Amazing. Okay, so here I am, the half brother of your husband, not knowing all of these things, but it's good to know. It's good that I know, and it's good to hear it on talk, because a lot of people need to know, because we all we tend to complain about a lot of things in our lives, not realizing someone else has gone through a lot, and how they survive it may help us deal with some of our things that we think is a big problem. That's so precious that you would share this kind of talk with us. Tammy, I know there's a lot more to explore here, a lot more that we can dig into. And would you come back on one day to tell us some more about even some of the institutions or some of the decision-making processes that was applied to you?
I will. I'll be glad to.
Yeah, I look forward to that. It's like if we're just scratching the surface, and I know it's very traumatic and emotional, but sometimes we need to say it out. And again, I've been on your Facebook for a long time, and I'm sure I didn't properly introduce myself. But yes, I'm the Anthony, and myself, we share a father, or someone who caused our birth, to say the least. And again, there's a whole long story associated with how I met them and how we parted and what we know now about each other and so on. So to me, you're always going to be my sister-in-law, because that's how I see you. So
I appreciate it.
And I appreciate you. I appreciate you very, very much. And I'm here. I mean, even offline we can talk, because it needs to happen. I'm glad that it's on Free Talk, and I'm sure a lot of the people in the listening arena is going to want to know more and see how they too can benefit. So I really thank you so very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, take care, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. You have a great day.
Welcome.
Thanks for listening to Free Talk with MrB. Please remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode.